Hello, I'm Folsom Mayor Mike Kozlowski. Good afternoon. Please let me start by thanking the membership and staff of the Folsom Chamber of Commerce for planning and hosting this event this year and every year for 23 years. It is my honor to have these few minutes to address Folsom's distinguished business leaders, my fellow elected officials, and the wider Folsom community who are joining us here today. I would like to recognize a few specific people. First, my family. I will say simply that my wife deserves equal congratulations for every accomplishment attributed to me. She is equal parts a terrific sounding board, a sharp critic, and shameless advocate. Thanks also to my two sons who keep me grounded with good-natured trash talk, and to my daughter who is passionate about two things, social issues and K-pop. Thank you, Kim, Henry, and Harrison, and Anastasia, kamsamnida. It would be impossible to visit Folsom or live here for more than a week without encountering the good works of the recently departed Folsom City Councilman and lifelong public servant, Ernie Sheldon. His legacy is manifest and omnipresent in our park and trail system and in the thousands of families he touched directly or indirectly by his devotion to Folsom youth sports. Ernie most likely has seen every previous State of the City address, and I hope to live up to his expectations here today, and we should all strive to match his devotion to public service. I would also like to acknowledge new council members YK Chalamcherla and Rosario Rodriguez, who were elected to the City Council last November. I've said many times before, Folsom is chock full of smart, capable people. YK and Rosario are no exception. They have brought welcome diversity to our council and will without a doubt continue to be excellent leaders and ambassadors for our town. I'd like to acknowledge Councilmember Sarah Aquino for her steadfast leadership and service as mayor during unprecedented crises this last year. And I'd like to acknowledge and thank City Council Member Andy Moran, who inadvertently violated our new term limit rule by being called back to council service for 5 months this past year. We deeply appreciate his willingness and dedication to serve our city during very challenging times. I would like to acknowledge Roger Gaylord for his service on the City Council. Roger brought generational change to the council when he was elected. His dedication to using modern communication tools provided a roadmap for each of us who's been elected since. I will point out others who deserve congratulations and thanks as we go along, but as a final opening acknowledgement, I would like to heap praise and congratulations on a longtime member of the Chamber of Commerce, the Folsom Telegraph. The Telegraph is celebrating its 165th anniversary of providing trusted, accurate news and information to the Folsom community. It is also one of the oldest continuously operating businesses in California. Congratulations on this monumental achievement. It seems like the understatement of a lifetime to suggest that 2020 was anything short of the strangest and most challenging year in decades, and perhaps in the entire life of Folsom. While we hunkered down to avoid COVID-19, California was once again overrun by the largest wildfires on record and plunged into midday darkness from their smoke. Weather worldwide again set high temperature records and spawned more large destructive storms than in any past year. As a nation, we were confronted with the soul-crushing evidence of the continued racial inequity, and then faced with a cavalier attempt to disrupt the peaceful transfer of presidential power. Most years, we talk about all the great things that were accomplished in Folsom in the preceding 12 months. I will do that. I would also like to have us, though, look outward at the big problems of our time and then look inward toward how Folsom has been given an opportunity to be leaders on issues of inclusion, civility, public health, and public safety. Before this pandemic has passed, thousands of our Folsom friends and neighbors will have suffered this illness. And as of today, more than 20 residents of Folsom have perished as a result of COVID-19, including one of our longest-serving CAPS volunteers, who was also a member of our Traffic Safety Commission, the relentlessly cheerful and dedicated volunteer and gentleman, Ron Pugh. With Ron in mind, my heartfelt gratitude goes out to all those who have volunteered or were called to service and worked hard to address these historic challenges, particularly the small business owners and Chamber of Commerce members who have balanced public safety orders against checkbooks, worked hard to keep their employees working, changed their businesses in small or large ways to adapt, and who, in spite of the clear and present danger to themselves, continued to provide services, meals, and some bits of normality to the rest of us. In addition to those business owners, I'd like to acknowledge the remarkable creativity, determination, and work ethic exhibited by the Chamber of Commerce staff, who marshaled every resource, turned over every rock, tried a lot of things, put on a one-of-a-kind 4th of July fireworks display, and made sure we all did the one thing we can always do to help local businesses: shop in local businesses. Throughout this crisis, business owners and many others demonstrated our community resiliency in a variety of ways. Some made small gestures that helped lift our spirits. The inspirational chalk drawings on driveways and sidewalks, or leaving painted rocks with encouraging messages in neighborhoods and parks, or holding drive-through birthday parties and virtual celebrations, and by displaying really over-the-top Christmas decorations. Others, like the Folsom mask makers, built a small group of crafters into an organized and super productive army who have produced more than 65,000 life-saving masks and thousands of other pieces of personal protective equipment. Local businesses like STEM Express, who showed us the definition of pivoting. STEM Express, a Folsom biotech company that typically focuses on stem cell research, shifted their focus to processing COVID tests and became almost overnight a leading driver of COVID-19 testing in our region. Like many other folks here in Folsom, STEM Express's CEO, Kate Dyer, recognized the confluence of capability and responsibility and was quick to act. My colleagues on the City Council who, with me, picked up and delivered essential supplies and groceries for our local seniors, and the essential workers on the front line that are keeping our community safe and strong. The medical workers keeping us healthy, the first responders keeping us safe, the delivery service workers and truck drivers delivering purchases and food to our doorsteps, and the grocery clerks stocking shelves and being of good humor over our sudden collective desire to bake. While I would love nothing more than for us to be able to go back to normal today or tomorrow or at some point in 2021, I also know that we still have challenging times ahead, and COVID will not just go away in a flash. It will fade away over months or years, becoming part of the background of infection risks we face. By examining how we've been affected by COVID, we can take some lessons from the opportunities it provided and the vulnerabilities it exposed. Let's continue to encourage investment in science and root for businesses like STEM Express. Let's rethink some aspects of our zoning ordinance so that we can more easily shift to outdoor activities. Let's each continue to be involved in civic organizations and community activities so that we can easily build the next Folsom mask makers. Let's continue to generously support our local businesses, and let's wear our masks, wash our hands, and be mindful of the safety of our friends, relatives, and neighbors. And let's not forget that resilience is in Folsom's nature. Being welcoming to new neighbors is also in our nature. Folsom has become its own melting pot, and we are now home to people from all over the world and who represent a multitude of language, racial, and ethnic minorities. That fact demands that we remain open to discussions of inclusion and equal opportunity. I think it likely that issues of race and inclusion may end up defining 2020, since the year was bookended by the difficult-to-watch video of George Floyd being slowly suffocated, and then video of the hard-to-comprehend attack on the U.S. Capitol building. George Floyd's death re-exposed long-standing racial divides and sparked a summer of protests and demonstrations. The demonstrations here in Folsom that resulted were peaceful. So I want to give full credit to the organizers and participants who provided a forum to discuss a painful subject while modeling restraint and productive public discourse. These local demonstrations served as a reminder that we don't live on an island, and there are issues of race that we may not understand or fully recognize. The scenes of the riot at the U.S. Capitol will remain for me profoundly troubling. Absorbing that event's meaning and understanding exactly how it was sparked will certainly be debated for decades. In the end, our union was not dissolved by either event, and democracy marches forward in its usual fits and starts. It also remains true that places like Folsom have an amazing opportunity to help create a future where these events are less likely to be repeated. I am optimistic in this way because Folsom has a bumper crop of smart, thoughtful, and creative people, and even smarter, more thoughtful and creative kids. While we may not be an island, we are well equipped to ride out any storm, and if necessary, to build a better boat. Now, turning to the city's activities this year, Our highest priority and responsibility is to protect the community's health and safety. In times like this, that mission is crystal clear, and I am proud of Folsom's level of readiness and preparation in handling the events of 2020. Together with our local schools, businesses, medical providers, and first responders, we sprang into action. As our businesses closed or adjusted their operations, the city provided its full support. Emergency measures included fee deferrals and fee waivers, relaxed sign regulations, and home occupation requirements. We eased regulations to allow restaurants the flexibility to establish curbside pickup zones and to allow use of city-owned public properties like sidewalks, streets, and private parking lots to make way for alfresco dining outside favorite eateries. A new online system for planning, building, and engineering applications and permits allowed simple electronic submittals. City utility relief programs supported Folsom's residential and business customers facing challenges due to the economic crisis. And we converted the library into a distribution center for face masks, hand sanitizer, and other PPE. We offered Folsom seniors free prepared and delivered meals from local restaurants, and we've teamed up with the Folsom Chamber of Commerce to encourage residents to shop and support local. You've seen this message, we support Folsom, on local signs, billboards, newsletters, and in social media. Folsom Fire Department personnel have been specially trained to provide COVID testing to Folsom's assisted living and skilled nursing facilities, and earlier this month, Folsom firefighters were trained on administering the vaccine. City of Folsom essential services, including police, fire, ambulance, water, wastewater, streets, garbage and recycling, planning, building, and park maintenance remained fully operational, and Folsom City Hall, uniquely in our region, has remained open to the public without interruption. We consistently aimed to provide the highest level of enrichment services by providing library lending virtually or as a drive-up service, and by keeping our parks and trails open, clean, and available to all. We worked hand in hand with our local community organizations and churches to provide for those who need it most. When the Twin Lakes Food Bank was experiencing a critical food shortage, 19 food drives were organized by the city along with community organizations, and over 57,000 pounds of food and over $5,000 in cash and gift cards were collected. More than 1,200 volunteers completed 80 socially distanced service projects and contributed more than 6,000 hours of service during our 7th annual Folsom Community Service Day. This all in mind, let me please extend my personal thanks to every member of the city staff, police, fire, public works, parks, and planning building. Your individual abilities to adapt to these unusual circumstances with such aplomb is both remarkable and further evidence of how truly lucky we are to call Folsom home. As things proceeded, we got some valuable lessons in what a pandemic costs. Last June, the Folsom City Council passed a $213 million balanced budget, reflecting an expected $7 million reduction in revenues due to the pandemic. That reduction in revenues was almost entirely attributable to drastic changes in consumer spending during the stay-at-home order. We, like all California cities, rely somewhat heavily on sales tax revenue. This is a key area where COVID exposed a serious vulnerability aside from the disease's symptoms. Responsibly, the city tightened its belt, cut expenses, and used some of its rainy day fund to weather the storm. We kept job openings vacant, reduced department budgets, and deferred capital purchases. As our economy begins to stabilize, we are keeping a watchful eye on our spending, preserving our reserve funds, and continuing to focus on maintaining the highest level of service for our community. This is where I'd like to thank the city manager, Elaine Anderson, Chief Hillman, Chief Casano, and former Chief Rodriguez, the other department heads and leadership team for finding creative ways to deliver high-quality services while reducing overhead and expenses. Being cool under fire is a character strength that Elaine exhibits every day and that she demands from her management team. This quality is another critical part of Folsom's nature. We anticipate an economic recovery during 2021 and remain committed to expanding Folsom's economy and supporting our business community. And interest in developing new projects in Folsom remains high. Here are some big projects that you can expect coming soon. With a 40-year legacy of serving Folsom's community, Dignity Health last year debuted plans and will shortly begin construction on a new state-of-the-art medical complex in the Folsom Plan area at the corner of Alder Creek Parkway and East Bidwell. Last year, we welcomed more than 870 new residents to the Folsom Plan area, growing a strong sense of place and community. The Folsom Cordova Unified School District broke ground on the area's first elementary school. Planning is underway for the area's first park, and we added 1.5 miles of paved trail along Alder Creek Parkway and Grand Prairie Road. This year, we will begin designing the area's first fire station, Station 34. We'll see progress on the Capitol Southeast Connector project. Last fall, the City Council approved construction of a segment of the project that will extend from Prairie City Road to East Bidwell Street and construct a 4-lane bridge over Alder Creek, and will realign and widen segments of White Rock Road. The recently completed Saratoga Way extension alleviates traffic on Highway 50 by connecting Folsom and El Dorado Hills at Iron Point Road and El Dorado Hills Boulevard. We recently completed the Green Valley Road widening project, which eliminated a frustrating bottleneck in the road and improved pedestrian and bicycle safety and access. We will continue to expand our intelligent transportation system, technology that provides tools to ease congestion, and we will upgrade signals along Prairie City Road this year. We know that water quality is essential to our community and economy, and we continue to make investments in the city's drinking water system, and we continue to invest in our wastewater systems to replace aging infrastructure, improve response times, and prevent sanitary sewer spills. In addition to our roadways and water and wastewater infrastructure, investments continue in our treasured park system. Last year, we opened the Broder Family Homestead Park, located at 1215 Harvest Loop off East Natoma Street. The family-friendly, passive park includes a grove of 74 historic olive trees, a vineyard, an orchard, covered picnic area, kiddie corral play area with farm animal sculptures, horseshoe pits, and a raised platform area for future outdoor classroom use. The land was once part of the expansive Broder Family Ranch, and the 5-acre property for the park was generously gifted to the city by Vera Broder Silverstein. You'll see major upgrades at the Steve Miklos Aquatic Center this year, including new water slides, water play features, a completely renovated activity pool, and instructional pool for swim lessons. This year will begin the last phase of Bud and Artie Davies Park, complete with a new youth turf baseball field. We'll begin designing the Benevento Family Park in Empire Ranch and install the first art pieces at the Johnny Cash Trail near the Rainbow Bridge. A shade structure will be added at the Andy Moran Sports Complex, providing relief from the hot summer sun. And in partnership with the Folsom Historic District Association, we will construct a shade structure over the outdoor amphitheater in the Historic District Plaza. City facility improvements will continue. This includes expanding the Folsom Police Department building, creating a spacious, modern dispatch center, and renovating Folsom Fire Station number 38 at Blue Ravine Road. We continue to invest in technology to provide the highest level of service. This year, we'll launch a brand new website and utility bill pay system. We'll help our business customers save water with a new drop counter app. A state-of-the-art permit center will soon improve and streamline community development services, such as electronic permits, plan checks, and payment systems. And the Folsom Police Department Vital Aware service has made it easier to help individuals with cognitive vulnerabilities, such as Alzheimer's or Down syndrome, with a potentially life-saving app. We can never say enough about the good work of our public safety departments, but here's an attempt. After the year we just experienced, we are ever more aware of the power and unpredictability of disasters, underscoring the importance of public safety and preparedness. When a disaster strikes, it is local government on the front lines. During the COVID crisis, the Folsom Fire Department worked closely with hospitals, prisons, and Sacramento County Public Health on logistics, personnel safety, community safety, and preparedness. And the Folsom Police Department provided a greater community presence while businesses were closed during the shelter-in-place orders. This year, Ken Cassano was sworn in as Folsom's new fire chief. Ken's selection as chief meant a win-win-win-win for the city, as we will benefit from his exceptional leadership, deep community roots, technical expertise, and institutional knowledge. The fire department responded to more than 8,400 incidents, provided life-saving mutual aid to jurisdictions battling wildfires, and added 2 new wildland fire engines and refurbished a 3rd to ensure our community is prepared. The Folsom Police Department continues to provide professional and reliable services to those in need and continues to be a model for police organizations in California. While conversations around police reform happened across the country, I'm proud to say that we remain open here in Folsom to conversations with the community. And our police department leadership has been dedicated to providing information about the department's operations, trainings, and policies. We are thankful to our community for sharing their thoughts with us, and we look forward to further conversation. So now, looking to the future, as we work hard to address the community's current needs, we continue to look out for what makes Folsom special today and what will ensure that we remain best in class in the future. We continue to refine and implement our Parks and Recreation Renovation Master Plan. We've implemented plans to preserve and maintain Folsom's treasured tree canopy. Work has begun on the city's first comprehensive local roadway safety plan to identify potential traffic safety projects. We recently completed updates to our emergency operations plan, fire department strategic plan, and citywide evacuation plans, ensuring our community is well prepared in an emergency. And the city is in the process of updating the zoning code with the goal of creating clear expectations for quality development and regulations that are easy to understand and follow. So, in closing, this year marks the City of Folsom's 75th anniversary. At 75 years, it's appropriate to look back and reflect on who we are, how far we've come, and where we're heading. We also pause to reflect on the many individuals who have served this city with such dedication over the decades. Our community would not be where it is today without the vision, leadership, and commitment of past leaders and public servants. The city we know today didn't emerge by happenstance. It's due to 75 years of thoughtful and deliberate planning and action. This spring, we'll commemorate the city's 75th anniversary, and more details will be announced soon. The opening song of the Broadway musical Rent, 525,600 minutes, poses the question, how do you measure a year? I think the challenges of 2020 have, like all rough times, measured our character. It reminded us of the fragility of life, exposed some vulnerabilities, but it also exposed the remarkable durability and ingenuity we possess. Folsom's future is very, very bright, and during 2021, I look forward to continuing to build homes, continuing to welcome new neighbors, continuing to take care of each other, and continuing planning for the changes that will make Folsom the greatest place to live for the next 75 years. Folsom is distinctive and will remain so because collectively, you are resilient, you are demanding, and you are smart, thoughtful, and creative. These qualities are what's in our nature, and I am so very proud to be counted among you. Thank you.